Humans are often dismissed as weak and insignificant by other species in the galaxy. But one human, captured by a powerful alien race and thrown into their zoo, is about to defy all expectations. Labeled as a monster by the aliens, this human's shocking survival instincts will send ripples across the galaxy. What happens next will leave the Zhyrr and the entire universe in awe, and it all starts with a cage. The human, a lone survivor from Earth, is captured by the Zhyrr, a technologically superior alien race that prides itself on its conquests and dominance. They label the human a monster because of its strength, unpredictability, and the strange power that seems to emanate from it. The Zhyrr are fascinated by what they believe to be the human's primitive nature and decide to imprison it in a high-tech zoo as their latest exhibit. Inside the cage, the human is isolated from other beings, constantly watched and studied. The Zhyrr believe it's a matter of time before the human succumbs to their power. However, the human is far from defeated. As the alien guards observe, they begin to notice that the human isn't behaving like the other creatures. It seems to be learning, adapting, and quietly calculating. Every action, every glance at its surroundings, is part of an intricate plan to escape. The human doesn't just survive in captivity. It starts to thrive, learning the language of its captors and discovering the weaknesses in the zoo's security systems. What the Zhyrr don't realize is that the human spirit is unbreakable. It's not a monster. It's a force waiting to be unleashed. The Zhyrr continue to treat the human like an animal, but they fail to recognize the intelligence hidden beneath its rugged exterior. As the days pass, the human begins to communicate, using the limited tools and resources it can find in the zoo. It quickly learns the language of the Zhyrr and starts to understand the alien technology. Instead of showing fear or anger, the human displays a calm, almost methodical demeanor. The Zhyrr, initially convinced that the human is too primitive to comprehend their language, are shocked to find that it is not only understanding their speech, but also beginning to manipulate their technology. The human starts to make contact with other animals in the zoo, creatures from different corners of the galaxy. They, too, have been imprisoned and mistreated. The human forms alliances, communicating its plan for escape. At first, the other creatures are skeptical, fearing the consequences of rebellion. But the human's determination, combined with its surprising intelligence, begins to win them over. Slowly, the once dismissed monster becomes a symbol of hope. The Zhyrr, still unaware of the growing threat, continue their experiments, convinced that the human will never be more than a primitive beast. They are wrong. The human is becoming something more, a leader, a strategist, and a beacon for those oppressed by the Zhyrr. The first signs of rebellion emerge when the human begins to influence the behavior of other creatures in the zoo. It isn't just a physical monster. It's a mental force, capable of outsmarting its captors. The human spends weeks observing the guards and studying their movements. It learns the layout of the zoo and how the alien security systems operate. Quietly, the human begins to tamper with the zoo's infrastructure. It causes small disruptions, manipulating the lighting and causing glitches in the surveillance systems. The alien guards initially dismiss these incidents as technical malfunctions, but the human knows exactly what it's doing. As the days pass, the other creatures in the zoo start to trust the human. Some of them have never experienced freedom, while others have given up hope. But the human shows them that escape is possible. A rebellion is born, but it's not without its dangers. The Zhyrr notice the increasing unrest and begin to tighten their control. They ramp up security, but the human is always one step ahead. The prisoners, led by the human, begin to organize more actively, preparing for the inevitable breakout. In the dark corners of the zoo, the human is becoming a symbol of resistance, a beacon of freedom for all who have been enslaved by the Zhyrr. As tensions rise, the Zhyrr's underestimation of the human becomes their greatest mistake. The rebellion within the zoo reaches a boiling point. As the human and its newfound allies continue to sabotage the zoo's security systems, the Zhyrr are forced to confront the reality that their prized exhibit is not the savage creature they once thought. The human has turned the zoo into a battleground, using the zoo's layout to their advantage, hiding in shadows, and attacking when least expected. The humans' physical strength and intelligence now combine to create a terrifying force. The once helpless monster is now leading a coordinated assault. Alien guards are overwhelmed, and the zoo's perimeter is breached. The human, once shackled in chains, is now free to move about the zoo, leading a wave of liberated creatures. Each victory is a step toward freedom, and the human becomes a symbol of defiance. As the zoo falls into chaos, the Zhyrr realize their mistake. They've created a situation they can't control. The human has become an unstoppable force, and the zoo is no longer a safe haven for the Zhyrr. The battle intensifies, and the stakes are raised. The human is no longer just trying to survive. Now, it's fighting for something much bigger: freedom, vengeance, and the chance to take down the alien empire that enslaved them. With the zoo in flames, the human and their army of liberated creatures make their escape into the alien city. The Zhyrr, embarrassed and enraged, dispatch their elite forces to capture or kill the human. But the human is not easy prey. It knows the city's streets, the alleyways, and the weaknesses of the Zhyrr's technology. The once dominant alien empire is crumbling as its most feared captive now leads a revolt. The human's growing army attracts more defectors, alien species who were once under the Zhyrr's control, now joining the fight. The alien city is turned into a battleground as the human fights not just for personal freedom, but for the liberation of the galaxy's oppressed. The Zhyrr, terrified of losing their grip on the universe, prepare for a final, desperate stand. But the human, with their newfound allies and overwhelming willpower, refuses to back down. The stakes have never been higher as the human becomes the focal point of an uprising that could change the galaxy forever. The Zhyrr realized that their biggest mistake wasn't just capturing the human. It was underestimating the spirit of humanity. In the final confrontation, the human and their allies launch a full-scale attack on the Zhyrr's central command. The battle is fierce, with intense clashes between the human-led forces and the Zhyrr's elite soldiers. The human, now a symbol of resistance, fights at the forefront, using both strength and strategy to dismantle the Zhyrr's advanced technology. As the battle rages on, the Zhyrr realize too late that they've created a force they cannot contain. The human, once a mere monster in their zoo, has become the galaxy's greatest threat to their empire. In a shocking twist, the human uncovers a dark secret about the Zhyrr. Their downfall was always inevitable, and humanity's survival was part of a grander plan. The final battle ends with the Zhyrr's fall, and the human, no longer a prisoner, stands victorious. The shocking truth: the monster was never the real threat. The human was the key to bringing down the empire that had terrorized the galaxy. The universe now knows: underestimate humanity at your peril.